Confederation of India Industry (CII) organized the 13th edition of CII-EXIM Bank meeting on India-African Project Partnership. The meeting attracted eminent dignitaries from across Africa and India. The initiative formed on engaging participants to actively build bridges to strengthen the partnership between the two regions. With the multifaceted involvement of heads of state, ministers, business leaders, financial institutions, and investment agencies, the conclave proved to be a one-stop shop that caters to the interests of both business and political stakeholders. This event is India's largest African-focused business event that sets the stage for identifying several opportunities for India to join hands with Africa to meet its development needs.
Conclave.
The 13th conclave, attended by Southern Minister for Higher Education, focused on high-five priority areas set by the African Development Bank in 2017. These areas broadly include power and energy, infrastructure, manufacturing, education, and skill development, and agriculture. More than 400 project opportunities that cut across sectors were discussed, and delegates were allowed to share in depth the insight of their national concentration.
Event of India Inc.'s engagement with Africa. Our attempt would be to move from the mega to the micro picture, and we plan to ask some very realistic. Increasing, it holds a lot of promise, but I think we need to recognize that in the recent years there are also some challenges and difficulties. The fact is that our trade is rather small. The fact is that investments are growing but slowly, and the fact is that lines of credit, the utilization is also slow. So in that context, we are seeing what we saw in the last 3 days, a very peculiar circular logic, which is that India tells Africa, please help us on this, that and the other, so that India could perform better. We are seeing a very robust economic growth in this region. A region, incidentally, which was the earliest area in Africa which connected with India. So an area which is of immense importance as far as India is concerned. So in this context, I had a brief preliminary discussion with our panel, and we thought that we would move, as I said earlier, from macro to micro issues. And in that context, I just wanted to throw a couple of questions to the panel. They will, of course, do their own.
I would like to thank you all for coming together this morning to be a part of this panel. As he said, from South Sudan, Minister of Higher Education, we came here to attend this wonderful meeting, and also to have the sideline meetings with the field of higher education. Of course, South Sudan, let me talk about South Sudan before coming to the region, is a country that has been at war for 56 years. Since 1955, we had a break of Addis Ababa Agreement in 1972. And that allowed us to have an opportunity to go to school. I'm one of the advantage of that institution. I attended my first schooling in 1974. That was a good opportunity for us. Otherwise, we had a break of 10 years. Again, we went back to the war and war-related causes that took us another 21 years, from 1983 to 2005. That's course, from the perspective of the infrastructures and perspective of development in the country, that was a great destruction for war for the country that has been that. But we thank God. In 2011, we managed to solve this problem comprehensively by dividing the Sudan into two. That's resulted to the Sudan, the current Sudan remained the Sudan, Republic of Sudan, and then we are Republic of South Sudan. Now, giving that contact, giving that perspective, of course, I would conclude by saying that we are starting from zero. The zero because even the colonizers before that 55, they did not put any infrastructures at the ground in the south. Mainly was focusing on the north, where was the seat of the government of colonizers. So this is another one. Also, whatever being put as infrastructures, basic infrastructure also was destroyed by that war. So this is a great opportunity for the investors, especially the Indian, to focus on. I know at the moment the embassy trying to do a good job. So trying to do a good job that they are encouraging the investors to come to the to our capital, which is Juba. We have a significant Indian investors in Juba. Despite the fact that the current situation also is not more effective for them to do what they do, but they are still moving ahead. This also is a part of the correlated to the first question and concern that raised by facilitator, that to encourage the Indian to come to invest in South Sudan, it could improve and also develop our bilateral relation politically. And then we have a good examples with other countries around. So when you are, there are good opportunities. South Sudan is the blessing country, despite the fact that it's the newest country in the world, but it is a blessing country that has a lot of minerals. We have vast agricultural land, animal resources, as well as fisheries, and sometimes raining 9 months. So you can practice whatever. And the Nile plus the streams that feeding the Nile also are all around South Sudan. So there's a good opportunity for the investors also, especially the Indian, to be encouraged to invest in South Sudan. When I said that we are starting from zero, it means that the basic needs, for example, the basic health care, are not, is a great also opportunity for them to invest. Infrastructures. And if I could relate it to my area of the higher education, for example, we have 5 public universities. These 5 public universities is lacking a basic infrastructures. When you are talking infrastructures, for example, for the science-based scholarship studies, if there is no laboratories, there is no equipment that could help the student and the lecturers also to give their knowledge to the student. These are the basic things also we are at needs. This is in the, you go as far as going even to the general education. Also, these are things that it is a vast area that the investors also could encourage. If we are comparing the situation with Chinese, I think Chinese are moving very fast in those areas of the development, and of course we don't want the Indian to be left behind. So if you need to put your lives together, and you need to focus on a certain area. Whether you have chosen agriculture, you need to speed up on this. You have animal resources, or you oil industry, also mining industry in the South Sudan. Also, these are significant areas that the Indian need to compete with the Chinese. I would say that with the current situation, Chinese are occupying most of the industrial activities in South Sudan. So, but with the minimum effort from our Indian investors. So, I think would be good for the government to encourage the investors to make use of this opportunity in South Sudan. Not only that, also, for example, in field of education, offering scholarships, especially government-to-government scholarships. These are very important, and they have they have a long-term effect in this relation, politically and economically, because those who will come here as a student to study in India, different universities, different fields, when they go back, they will be ambassadors of India. They will not talk about any country else apart from India. We have a good experience in this with Egyptian. Egyptian since 60s, they were a key of our development in education. Now, the current the current cabinet council of ministers in South Sudan, 3/4 of them are graduates of Egypt. This has developed a great bilateral relation between us and Egypt. So, including the vice president is a graduate of Egypt. So, Egyptians at the moment are very proud of this, to have that capacity running the country. So this is one of the things also could be relevant to develop political and economic relation between us. Chinese now are coming up also offering us scholarships. We are sending students also. They are coming for. They are now mostly occupying and mostly occupying the oil industry and mining also. So I would encourage our investors, the Indian investors also, to speed up and complete. This oil industry was started by American company in 70s. But now, because American always are engaging a lot, and they have a lot of expectations, great expectations for the world. Now Chinese came up and stolen all this effort that was put down by American, which of course we want to invest. Whoever has the capacity and can run the country think that is effective. This is what you are for. The fact that we are a new country, we needs are very great, and the opportunities are very vast. We would like to encourage most of you to come in. While we are developing our political relation, also indirectly we are putting our head together so that we move the long-term relation between us and China and India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister, for a very realistic, candid, and targeted presentation. Like 4 years in Kenya, in your country, and certainly it does not need too much of an introduction to this audience. Dear friends, after multiple African voices, we now have Shri Sanjay Jadhav, who is Vice President in International Operations of Mahindra & Mahindra.
Diesel generators and agribusiness, which I will cover in the later slides. In automotive sector, as I mentioned, we are present in more than 30 countries with our strong channel of distributors and dealers. We are present. Our presence in automotive space is basically to look at how best we can provide the solutions in Africa in terms of effective people mover segment which we can create, and also for the effective and affordable transportation of goods. In farm sector, as I mentioned, we are present and accordingly work on land preparation till harvesting, and also in the process set up a small manufacturing facility which can be locally done. So that probably we need to look at. Skill development certainly will help, but obviously, as I mentioned, that area a lot of work has happened. But definitely skill development is one area probably it will help us do it better. Thank you very much.
The first CII-EXIM Bank Conclave on India-African Project Partnership was first held in 2005. The initiative was launched by CII in partnership with the EXIM Bank of India and with support of the Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Commerce and Industry of the Government of India. Over the last 12 editions, it has emerged as the pioneer event in building partnership and enhancing the economic engagement between the two regions.
My name is Professor Anita Patankar and I am the Deputy Director of Internationalization at Symbiosis International University. I'm very happy to share a scholarship policy that we have under a SIU mission towards educating Africa and engaging with Africa. This is a scholarship that will offer academic scholarships to African students, merit-based as well as need-based, and an overall 30% reduction in fees as a scholarship that will help in assisting African students come to India, study, and then be able to go back and be productive citizens. Africa and India share many problems. In fact, most of the problems seem to be identical.
The annual gathering enables the Indian-African leadership to take stock of the progress of the partnership and address future needs in these regards. The 13th edition caved on regional allocation, where South Sudan is now set to the East African bloc.